Hi everybody, I have a very special video for you today. This is my application for the Crafty Maven Getaway design team. We were to pick a piece of inspiration and this is mine. I was really attracted to the corals in this and I found this piece of Crepe Paper Wonder collection and the paper is cheerful. I also really liked how the blocks of color in the inspiration reminded me of the houses. Now I'm looking for a piece of background paper and I pulled a bunch of my mind's eye, but nothing was working until I found this piece of Maggie Holmes' Shine collection. The piece is called Sparkle, or the paper is called Sparkle. I'm scrapping a photo of my stepson and my grandson that is 2 years old. So now I'm looking at just a few of those pieces of my mind's eye paper and also some more crepe paper for background pieces. So that diagonal stripe is Crepe Paper Craft Market, the processed paper. And the polka dot paper is My Mind's Eye, Now and Then, the Mildred collection, and the paper is called Today Shine. So those are the two papers that I am going to settle on. I've decided what I want to do, of course, now is to cut down that piece of Wonder paper, and I'm trying to decide how much to actually take off there. It'll take me just a minute to get that done, taking a little bit more off. I think I ended up taking about 1/2 inch off, if I remember correctly, on two sides. So that's looking good to me now. So now I have to go and take off the border strip from the marble paper and a little more from the Wonder paper. The funny piece about that marble paper is I just watched a video from Kitty Scrapper Nancy Sinclair, and she hated that paper, but she used it the other day, and when I used it, I just decided it was perfect. So now what I'm going to do, because everything is so busy on that background sheet, I'm going to ink the edges. That's an old Jenny Bolin ink pad. I think it's called like Pen or something like that. Black pen or something. But anyway, it's old, but it's still really juicy and it works great. I will often ink edges when I'm using busier papers because it, as I said before, it really helps with the definition of that paper. And I think what I've done is I realized that, oh, that's right. I went to gut the inside of that paper because I was thinking about perhaps using that to mount the photo on. I'm not going to do that, but it was a thought for a while at least. So that's why I gutted the paper. A lot of times I have so much paper, I don't actually gut paper unless I need to use it for something else. So I'm looking at that, tapping my fingers, trying to decide. I'm going to cut down that diagonal stripe paper because although I like the faux pieces of tape on it, it was very distracting because of that background. So once in a while I will challenge myself to use a really, really busy paper, and it can be fun as long as you get the mats right. So now I'm playing quite a bit, and I will play with quite a bit. I've decided what I want to do is put the title on that diagonal stripe paper because it needs something to relieve it from the background of the homes or the houses, or you'll never see it. So I decide on the American Crafts Thickers in Doll. They're a fabric chipboard. And there I just showed you some of the pieces of ephemera that I pulled together. That Together die cut is from Crepe Paper Close Knit. And now I'm kind of looking and playing around with some of the pieces that I found there, cutting down that piece of paper just so it fits better because I'm having a hard time sort of picturing how all this is going to blend together. And I decide as I'm doing this that I'm going to take that heart, the Love You heart, and cut that out of the background because it's just not going to work on the background. That piece is from Crepe Paper, I believe it's from Crepe Paper Confetti or Shine, but I don't know for sure. I really think it's Confetti because it's pretty white, and the Shine background for Crepe Paper isn't quite as white as the Love You is on that. I just couldn't find it anywhere when I looked in pieces. I suspect it's from a cut-apart sheet, but like I said, I just couldn't find it. So now I'm looking at it. The other thing I looked at was using that little green piece says sun, And that is from crepe paper as well, but it's not going to make it on the layout. The green doesn't work with the teal background of the Wonder paper. So it's more, the background of that is more teal than it is. And I believe that's from Homespun, if I remember correctly. If you're, or not at Homespun, it's from Close Knit. That's where the sun is from. Okay, so now I'm lining things up a little bit and putting out to you there that I need to cut down that My Mind's Eye paper, and about where I'm thinking of cutting that down. I want it to land in by the die cut there, so that the die cut's partially on it, so it's touching edges of the die cut and the diagonal paper. And now I'm having a hard time. I don't always put my titles on wax paper. I do a lot, but when I have something this big, I definitely want to do that because I want to make sure that I can move that around as I need to. But it also causes me problems, which you'll see in the end when I try to glue things down. So I'm positioning again, deciding that My Mind's Eye polka dot is still a little bit too big for what I want to do. And inking the edges again, as I said, it's going to help with definition here. I think if I were to describe my style, it's probably closest to Chamel's style. When I first saw her style, I was like, oh, I have found a kindred spirit, because I definitely like the blocks of paper and clusters that she uses, and that's really how I scrapbook most of the time. Every so often I'll do something with a lot more white space or throw in a little bit of mixed media technique, but I tend to do blocks of paper. I don't always ink my edges. As a matter of fact, I don't a lot. It's just when I feel I need some definition there. Okay, so again, playing around with positioning, inking edges. I think I actually managed to get through this entire layout without forgetting to ink an edge, because sometimes I'll go back and I look and I'm like, oh, I forgot to ink that edge before I glued it down. So again, still trying to get that sun in there. Now I found a piece of paper. It's a teal paper. It's from Confetti, but I couldn't find the name of it, so I'm sorry about that. I know it's Confetti, but you know, Confetti's an older collection by now, so it's hard to find names. But I like what that does, because the together card there is a little bit teal. It's a very light teal. So I have that very light teal on the bottom in the together die cut, and then now I've got the very light green paper as well on top, or the light teal paper, I should say, on top. So it's just a really nice cohesive statement there. So thinking about gluing things down and actually getting that started. And oops, ATG gun bit the paper there. I do love my ATG because things stay in place once you put them down. Now I'm just moving the title because that wax paper with the title was causing me gluing problems. And this is how I do it a lot of times. I'll glue the blocks together on top and then eventually glue them to the background paper. What I'm doing here now is I'm going to work on positioning the title, and again, that's the American Crafts Thickers doll font, and it's the fabric chipboard. There was no color to it, it's just black. So I'm going to glue the first letter here because it's important, and see how great that wax paper works, because you can move it around, get the title and everything correct, and not worry about it. And I am using the Scotch quick dry adhesive in a fine line bottle. It was really hard because I believe that's a smaller nozzle to get that to come out, but once I put a little bit of water in it, it works just fine. And just a tiny bit of water, you don't need much. I was just reading about that on one of the boards somewhere, that people were having a hard time with their fine line bottles. Now you'll see this in just a second as I'm gluing the two lowercase d's down in Daddy, that they're different. And the reason is that I didn't have the two lowercase d's. I believe that second one is actually the lowercase d. The one next to it is actually a P. I do that all the time with my thickers because you run out of letters. So it's really easy to turn D's into, or P's into D's and vice versa, except in this particular font, the P and the D are not exactly the same. And I'm looking at it and noticing it and going, oops, I have a little bit of a problem here. So I'm going back to my sheet because I had P's and I just changed it out. I did rip the paper a little bit, but once I cover it with the P, that became the D again, it's not a problem. So there's lots of letters that you can make. M's are really easy to turn into N's, and A's are really easy to make out of D's and P's, and you can turn S or 8s into S's. That's a good one I learned not that long ago. That was a pretty cool one. A lot of times I'll make C's into E's by just adding a period in. That's another really easy letter change to make. So it really helps keep make your thickers last longer. It's one of the things I really, really like. So now I just realized as I was doing all that I don't have that teal piece of paper glued down. So I'm going to glue that down. And that heart, love you heart, is coming back again. Still trying to work that little sun. It came from a cut apart, that little sun piece in, just because it obviously is my stepson's sun. I also discovered here, oops, I forgot to put my cap back in my fine line bottle, which is a no-no. And as I was looking at this, I decided that now I'm looking at it after I glued it down again and realized that it's a little bit crooked. So I'm pulling that up and I rip it just slightly, but not enough to make much of a difference. You really can't see it in the finished layout, or you can, but it's very slight. So those papers are distressed enough that I was okay with leaving it. And it would have been a problem because I didn't have any more of that paper. It was just that tiniest block. So now I'm going to start working on my clusters and trying to figure out what's going on. So I like that 2 tag because there's 2 of them. And that 2 tag is from Crate Paper Close Knits. It's from their ephemera pack or their die cut pack. Then I found that really cool note piece of paper, and that again is from Confetti. It's from their die cut pack from Confetti. It matches the green, or I keep calling it green, it's teal, that little teal piece at the top. Now I've decided I really like the black because there's so much black in the title and that heart. Plus I want to somehow figure out, I'm thinking about, I need to take up more space by the title there, and I punched out a heart because I thought I'd maybe put it behind the love you heart. But it's too busy, for one. And the second, it also it wasn't big enough. It was really basically the same size. That was a Marvy Uchida punch, by the way, just so you know. I end up not using it, but I do like that punch. Now, that is a piece of Maggie Holmes paper. It might be style board, but I'm not sure because I got it at Hobby Lobby, or I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. And I just pulled up that Dreams Come True, or not Dreams Come True, that it is, let's see, what is it called? I've got the layout right here. I pulled, it's Sweet Moments. That little Sweet Moments banner came from that cut apart sheet. And I'm playing around with more pieces from that cut apart sheet. Those aren't going to make it on the layout. It's not fitting with that tag. It's kind of bothering me. I'm inking edges there because I did decide to keep that little coral piece that says happy on it is from the cut apart from the Maggie Holmes collection. So I inked that up. And now I decided I wanted to have some dimension. So what I'm doing is I have my big roll of Scotch adhesive, the foam tape. And I'm going to put that on there because I want some height in there. Everything was looking very, very flat. You can get that roll at Amazon. I think it's about $30. It's probably a little bit less than $30. And now I'm inking up that Sweet Moments cut apart and getting that on there. Okay, still playing with this cluster here. And what I decided to do, excuse me, what I decided to do there was to actually cut off the top of the tag. It was just too big, things weren't laying properly. And that's finally going to work out once I decide to do that. I'm trying to bring that sun back in again, but it's bothering me. It's too square or too rectangular, and it just doesn't fit. So now I'm playing around because I want something to go with that 2 tag and the heart, but I don't know what it is until I go to the Maggie Holmes sticker sheet there, and I find this label sticker right there. And that is going to work out perfectly. That is the sticker sheet from Shine. So I ink that up, play with it a little bit, and now that's the background that I want. And that's going to work perfectly once I get everything adjusted. When you do videos, you realize how much you actually fool around with placement of things. And again, here I decided I wanted some dimension on that heart, so I'm using the Scotch foam tape. Cutting that up. Taking off those little pieces there. And finally, that cluster is done. Now, I want something at the top that's black, and I find this a Dream Come True sticker, and I'm going to end up using that. Again, I want that with some dimension, so I'm putting it on the foam tape. And there was a little bit of gold left from the sticker above it on top, so I struggle a little bit with getting this figured out. But eventually I do. What happened is it was really hard because the foam tape was right under where I needed to cut. So finally, that's done, and a Dream Come True goes on top. And again, that's Maggie Holmes Shine, where that's coming off of. And now I've got a black heart, I've got the black Dream Come True, so I want one more thing, and I end up finding a sticker from that sheet that says love, and that's what I use. So now you can see that beautiful visual triangle there. There's an edge here that I wanted to get down because that needed to get taken care of. Now I'm looking for some enamel dots because I want something in the clusters, another texture there. And I made those from perler beads, so I keep them in just a little jar there, and they're right in front of me. But the colors aren't right, so I'm looking through my basket. It's a little basket 31 and older 31 basket there. And I'm just pulling out all my little enamel dots because I know I have wood enamel dots somewhere. I can't find them, but I did find those shapes. So I pull those out because I think, well, if I have to. That right there is some of the enamel dots I'm going to use. There's the wood enamel dots. But as I was saying, that enamel dot there with the kind of mustardy color, I'm going to end up using those. Those are from My Mind's Eye Sweetest Thing from the Bluebell collection. So I'm looking at the shapes first, and I find a heart there. And I really like that heart. It's one of the darker wood hearts. And I think it'll match the dark wood enamel dots there on the other side. So I'm thinking, okay, perfect. But once I lay those on there, they're too bright. They're too dark, not bright. And I decided I need something brighter. So that's when I go to the My Mind's Eye enamel dots. And it's a very unusual color because it's pretty mustardy and you don't see that a ton. So I'm really happy that I was actually able to use those on this layout. And now I'm going to fool around. I like sort of the medium and small size enamel dots, but when I end up using the larger ones, it doesn't work out very well for me often. And this sheet has 4 different sizes. So kind of placing them around just as little accents within each of the cluster, adding in another color from that background paper. I'm using a cutter bee tweezers there. I'm a massage therapist and I don't have very long fingernails, so placing enamel dots is hard for me. So I use that tweezers all the time. You'll see me use it when I need to do enamel dots or when I need to place small stickers, all that kind of thing. They really come in handy. I also use them a lot when I have to put a glue dot, a small glue dot down on the layout. And I use that a lot for enamel dots to get them on. So I've decided I want at least one more enamel dot up in that cluster. And I'm playing around a lot about where it's going to go. Take it off, try it there. Nope, that's bothering me. It's going to end up back on that little wood heart eventually. Yay! Finally done. All right, now I need to journal, and I'm going to use my American Crafts precision pen in the .03 size. Like I said, this is a photo of my stepson and grandson. He's such a great dad, so I wanted to journal about that. I still have some of his baby pictures to get onto layouts, and he's got a brother or sister coming in mid-March, so I think it's about time I get these photos scrapped. You'll see me get that done, and then when I'm done with that journaling, I'm going to write the date of the photo on the label sticker over there. And that label sticker is shiny, but I write it in my precision pen, and so far it hasn't smeared, so I think we're good to go. Here's some still shots and a couple detail shots. Thanks for watching.